The greening of America really means many things. It's a transition to wind, solar, and geothermal energy, and it's a move toward more effective recycling of materials. We want to take a look now at several educational offerings, including an educational facility construction that works toward the future of that greening of America and Oklahoma, and for Oklahoma being a cutting edge of going green. And in order to do that, we're going to be talking with a couple of folks from Metro Technology Centers, Melanie Stinnett, who is the Chief Officer, Environmental Safety and Regulatory Affairs, and Ed Melott, who is at the South Bryant Campus at Metro Technology Centers. And Melanie, is it possible everything from auto painting technology to recycling and water conservation all has to do with this greening of Oklahoma and America?
Oh, absolutely. And even starts with just basic office paper recycling, anything that can be done in the home, but now this is being rolled into even the construction of educational buildings. This is really an exciting prospect for us at Metro Technology Center because a program that we've been operating for a while now with tremendous success, which is our Metro College and Career Academy, is going to be very soon housed in a cutting-edge building, the likes of which is really new to our generation. And it's going to incorporate numerous green and environmentally sound, resource protective technologies that we really haven't really seen in the past and when it comes to the construction of a school or educational facility.
What we were talking about before the program, the interrelationship of health and safety, that it's more than just, well, we're going to save a little oil, but rather it's more complex than that.
It really is more complex than that. When you're looking at protecting the health and safety of individuals, it's not just really what they may breathe or what they may touch, but it's also how you protect them in their educational setting. How do you protect their comfort in their building, not just from the potential for harm, but also in how are they comfortable in their learning environment. And that's what we're doing in the construction of our new building, is we're making it as supportive, comfortable, and accessible to individuals of all walks of life and really of all educational needs.
I'm just curious, in the construction, the ergonomic factor of how this building is put together, the impact, the effective impact this will have in relation to collection of recyclable material.
We actually are going to have a very specific part and portion of our building that will be for recyclable materials, cast-offs, cans, bottles, things like that. But also we are going to be branching out into a new means of protecting our recyclables, and that is to not accept styrofoam products into the building. There will be no drinks or coffee served in a styrofoam cup. That's just scratching the surface. But in addition to that, when the building is actually constructed, a great deal of the materials used to make the building, the envelope of the building as well as the furnishings of the building, will be from reused products that have already been recycled, or even things that have been manufactured and made in our own local community.
This will be a testimonial to those students who are going through the Wind Energy Technician program. They will begin to get a feel for what this entire environment holds for them, I would think, Ed.
Yes, the new wind technology program is going to offer 615 hours of college credit with a partnership with Oklahoma City OSU, and we're looking forward to that. We're looking at the branching out of wind technology in the state of Oklahoma. President Obama wants us to have 20% of our electrical products by 2030, and so therefore we've got to up-ramp all these wind energies. The generators have got to be put in place. We've got to have them operated on. We've got to have them maintained. And so this program that we're developing now is going to be developing those workers, highly skilled workers that will be able to climb a 300-foot tower, work on a wind generator that's that high up, but they will be able to understand what's going on inside the mechanical aspects of that.
I think more individuals, if they travel much, and I go through the state from time to Amarillo, actually to Texas, and then down to Lubbock and Sweetwater, where I grew up in Texas, and it's virtually becoming a wind turbine corridor.
Yes, it is. And what we're looking at with this initiative by the federal government is that we're going to double that in the state of Oklahoma. What you're seeing out there right now is just a small sampling of what's actually going to occur within this state. And if we proceed in the proper way, we'll may be able to attract some of those generator manufacturers into the state of Oklahoma, because they're going to be right here, being installed here. Right now you see them being shipped out of Texas, where they're making the big blades. The generators themselves are coming from overseas, and so we'd really like to be able to train this highly skilled workforce so that we can maybe bring in some of the manufacturing.
I would say that it could be a tremendous advantage for some of those manufacturers to have their facilities here. They're having to ship those things overseas to get them here. I've seen how big those blades are. Yeah. My good, well, tell me, you know how big they are.
Well, a normal size blade, a generator is 300 feet in the air. The normal size blade is about 6 car lengths in length. So if you took 6 cars bumper to bumper, that's how long you're talking about blades. You know, I mean, for the average person to understand what that amount is.
I've seen some of the parts towed on trucks. And can you imagine, they certainly couldn't take them in wide-bodied planes. They must come over in huge cargo ships.
They would have to come over in cargo ships. But, you know, the blades are being manufactured in Texas. They're normally made out of fiberglass or composite material. The generators themselves are what's being made overseas, the really large ones. Oklahoma and the United States, and we're making this inroad into this wind technology. Germany, for many years, has been considered the wind technology of the world. They had more units installed, and they were using it to proper deal. But now, with this initiative, the United States has already surpassed them in installed generators. And if we keep on this track, we will be the world leader in generation. Oklahoma is set to be the regional leader, because we will be able to take what we produce, and then in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll be able to not only produce enough for the state of Oklahoma, but to be able to sell it to other states around us.
And Melanie, this goes back, it seems to me, to have a lot to do with the impact of health, safety, and the general environment, to be moving to these forms of energy.
Oh, absolutely. And really, if you think about it, electricity in itself can be generated in many different ways. Wind can be used to generate electricity. Water can be used to do that. But the thing is, too, is that when you are using water, and you're using water in an intensive industrial environment, you're impacting that water. And that makes it more difficult to make water usable for humans, whether it's for recreational contact or even for consumption. So all of these things do tie together. The chain is very tight on the links of cause and effect.
Let's talk about this auto painting technology for a minute. What kind of impact are we looking at, and what kind of change is happening there?
Well, I'm sorry, Ed. The industry has really decided to go towards using more water-based products to eliminate volatile organic chemicals within different paints and painting compounds. And so, in order to protect the ozone and also protect the worker who's applying that paint or that lacquer, a lot of the chemicals we've seen in the past historically have been eliminated or are near to being eliminated.
And that can significantly affect people's health long term.
Yes.
So it does have, there's a quantitative element to it. It may be difficult to determine, but long term, when we talk about medical costs, just various health costs can be reduced by increasing the safety and health environment.
Yes, it can.
And you know, and I also have to say that isn't it outstanding, like the work that you all are doing, the interfacing with OSU in the educational process, and I just love to see this transparency. It
really works really well in the fact that the students can start with us. They can develop their safety, their AC/DC generations, electronics. They're going to learn all about how this system works as far as the electricity goes, and then they can then transfer from us over to OSU Oklahoma City and finish out their associate's degree and work towards that certification in wind technology.
So it's an outstanding cooperative opportunity. You were telling me earlier about a community that has actually become self-sustaining using these.
Yeah, we have a community just outside of Springfield, Missouri, that decided they would take the leap and become really efficient, and they purchased a large wind generator, and they started making electricity for the town. Well, what they didn't realize was that this thing was so big that it generates enough electricity that they could take the town off the grid, and so that they're not having to pull off of the Missouri system anymore.
Ed, you were telling me before the program about a community now that is literally self-sustaining through the uses of these new energy sources.
Yes, we have a town in just outside of Springfield, Missouri, that has put in a wind generator, and they built this wind generator in such a way that it not only feeds this town, but it has allowed them to be independent of the Missouri electrical system. So they're going off the grid.
This sounds like something that should open the floodgates for other communities and other entities to say, look, this is demonstrable. It's there.
It really does open the floodgates in the fact that we can now take a community off the grid. We can make them self-sustaining. Because wind energy, once the tower is installed, and within 3 to 5 years that tower becomes paid for, so it's free at that point. And now the cost of the technology is coming down so much that the local rancher, the homeowner, can now look at this. We can now take a hybrid system, which is a wind energy and a solar panel, and we can then bring in electricity through these two methods into a home by storing it in a battery, convert it to AC, then use it in the house. And the payback for that is now within the next 20 years. So it's becoming more and more efficient for the individual, not just the town. So now we're talking about changing the culture of the community and how they think about it.
And there's so many elements to this wind energy technician program that would involve more than just the wind turbine itself. The understanding of the new technologies of batteries and converters and all of the apparatus that would go in the total system, I would think.
Yes, we have to start off by training these people to understand that they're going to be highly skilled workers that are going to climb a 300-foot tower. So for one thing, we want a person who's not afraid of heights. But so we want them to be able to climb it first. We're going to teach them ulcer safety. We're going to teach them fundamentals in hydraulics and pneumatics, AC and DC currents, so they have a complete understanding of how electricity works, how it's fed from the generator down to an inverter, into the storage batteries, and then taken into the home or fed into OG&E's lines, because we also have that option. Once the house's batteries are totally stored up, then that gets sold back to OG&E. And so we're going to work towards that and train these people to understand all of those aspects.
Well, Melanie, I'm also looking at some terms, of course, obviously water conservation, green roof, integrated green recycling. Let's delve into that for a minute.
Green roofs are really wonderful, and it's a relatively new technology. What is the benefit of the green roof is that not only are you going to actually have green and living plants, which we already know what the benefits are to the community and also to just the person from having plants around us. They are natural purifiers of air. But the other thing that's really wonderful about a green roof is the fact that it's very energy efficient in the way it lives, breathes, and operates. You would think that if you're growing something, it's going to create a tremendous amount of weight and mass onto the building envelope, but that can be designed in a very creative way to offset that. Recycling and also reuse, reduction of any type of material is becoming just a part of our culture in the way that we design and operate within buildings. So that's something that we are designing and bringing into the design as part of our new building that will house our MCCA. Green roofs, we're also going to have plantings that are naturalized, and then we'll also have things that are very low in water demand, native grasses, native plantings, and also parking lots that will absorb and also redirect stormwater in a responsible way.
And all of this in virtually a new mindset. And our time has gone by so quickly. Thank you for being a part, Metro Technology Centers, and that's Melanie Stinnett, who is the Chief Officer, Environmental Safety and Regulatory Affairs, and Ed Melott, the Director of South Bryant Campus. We look forward to having you on again as time goes along. This is a 30 or 40 year project. You know, all the changes that are going to be happening.
For the cultural shift, it will be.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, it's really going to be exciting to watch it. So how